Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. In this video, we're going to talk about how to write a summary. Unit 2, the essay for Unit 2 is a 2-paragraph essay. So the first paragraph asks you to summarize the article that you've read, which is Rice for Thanksgiving by Jocelyn Fong. And then the second paragraph in that essay asks you to respond to that article. So we're going to just focus on this, how to write a summary, okay? Because that's the most important part of the essay you have to write, and I think the most difficult part. So again, this PowerPoint is meant to help you write your 2-paragraph summary response essay for the Jocelyn Fong essay entitled Rice for Thanksgiving. Now, before I jump into the PowerPoint, I'm going to play a video for you, which I think succinctly touches upon almost everything I like to talk about with when talking about how to write a summary. So we'll watch that video, and then I'll talk a little bit more about how to write a summary.
So we summarize all the time in our daily lives. You may summarize something interesting that you read in the news, or you may summarize a movie plot line for a friend, or a lesson for a classmate who has been sick and missed the class. And at some point in your academic career, you will have to write a summary, which is something that a lot of students find difficult. So I thought I would give you some tips on how to write an effective, successful summary. All right, now it's important to remember that a summary needs to be clear to someone who has not read, seen, or heard the original material. Now you have to include all of the essential information that a person would need to understand without reading the original source. So you have to include all of the main points. Now that's pretty much what a summary is. It's important also to remember that you shouldn't go beyond the main points. It's important that a summary be as brief as possible, so you don't want to get too specific with details like numbers, statistics, dates, figures, that kind of thing, unless it's absolutely necessary for the reader to understand it. Remember that a summary needs to be concise, brief. You don't want to be too descriptive. All right, so a good summary should follow and maintain good paragraph structure. So you want a topic sentence, and supporting sentences, and a concluding sentence. Now it's important for the topic sentence of a summary to identify itself as a summary. So you should include the title or the author or the speaker of the original material in your topic sentence. And then the supporting sentences are the main points. And it's important to try to follow the same order that the information is presented in the original material. Again, if possible. There are times, perhaps if you're summarizing a story, where the original story is not in chronological order, and it may make it easier for the reader to understand it if you change the order. But in general, you want to keep the same order. Now also, in a summary, you should be paraphrasing. You should not be using direct quotes from the original material, and you should not be copying and pasting sentences right from the original. You should be using your own words. And last, it's important for a good summary to be objective, meaning you should not include your opinion in a summary. Remember that you're just reporting information from someone else's piece of writing or a lecture. So if you follow these tips, you'll be that much more likely to write a successful summary. So if you want practice with summaries, follow the link at the end of this video.
Okay, so I hope you found that video helpful. Now, again, I may repeat some things that the video said, but only because those points are super important. So, just to reiterate, A summary is a brief restatement of an author's main idea and major supporting details. So you can think of a summary as if you're talking to a friend. So let's say you read Rice for Thanksgiving, and your friend is like, "Oh, hey, what are you reading? What was that about?" And you tell your friend in a few sentences what the thing you read is about. Or maybe you saw a really great movie and you want your friend to watch it as well. So you spend a couple of minutes telling your friend what this movie is about. We summarize constantly. Okay, so I think the trick with a summary is, especially with this article or essay, Rice for Thanksgiving, because there is a bit of a metaphor going on here with Jocelyn Fong's essay. But I think the hardest part of writing a summary is we have this worry that we're not including enough information, that maybe our audience will be confused if we leave something out. But the length of the summary depends on the length and complexity of the reading. So, Rice for Thanksgiving is not long at all. And body paragraphs should be between 5 and 8 sentences long. So, we probably don't want our summary paragraph to be longer than 8 sentences, especially in the earlier units. I think you can do what you need to do within like 5 or 6 sentences. So, if you were summarizing a book, that might be a little bit of a longer summary, but Jocelyn Fong's essay is, I don't even know if it's a full page long. So you can get that done in just like a few sentences. So the summary paragraph for the Unit 2 essay, like you open with a topic sentence, you close it off with a concluding sentence, and in between there, the actual summary is where you're going to have like about 3 or 4 sentences that actually summarize Fong's essay. So I like this slide right here because it really helps you break down the summary writing process. And since your summary can be pretty short, again, the whole paragraph is probably going to be 5 or 6 sentences because you have an opening sentence and a closing sentence, acting as as bread, if that makes sense. And the summary is like the meat of the sandwich. So the summary itself is probably only going to be about 3 or 4 sentences. So this step-by-step writing process can really help you out with that. So step 1, identify the main idea of the reading. And here it's like, okay, this is where you say, okay, this is what this essay is about. Like if you had to break it down and like, if you had only 1 sentence to tell your friend, if you could only explain this reading in 1 sentence to your friend, like what would you say? Like, this is what this essay is about. And then in step 2, that's where you start implementing a little bit of detail. So identify the supporting details of the reading. So how did Jocelyn Fong get her main idea across? And here I write, note that it is important to maintain the order of these points, okay? So if you're summarizing something to someone, you want to summarize it in the order in which it's written, okay? Otherwise, it'll get very confusing. And in step 3, identify the author's purpose for writing. Do this by asking yourself, why did the author write this? What did the author want me to know, think, or do after this reading? And then for step 4, you're bringing steps 1, 2, and 3 together. And you don't have to necessarily go in this order. Like sentence 1 doesn't necessarily need to be, well, I should say step 3 doesn't necessarily need to be the 3rd sentence because if I remember, correctly, I may be wrong, but the NROC may ask you to identify the purpose of the reading in the first sentence rather than in the final sentence. So sometimes NROC will dictate the order in which you write, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure it follows this order right here. So again, step 4, you're bringing steps 1, 2, and 3 together. So in sentence 1, you introduce the reading, stating the title and the author's name, their full name, and you should also state the author's main idea. This is very important because remember, you need to assume that your that your audience did not read this essay by Jocelyn Fong. So you need to make sure you're including the author's name and the title of her essay, just like you did with the Unit 1 essay, okay? Then sentence 2, write a sentence describing the supporting points you noted in step 2 in order. You may need to write more than one sentence if the reading is long or has several supporting points. So I think you'll probably need to have at least 2 or 3 sentences in order to fully articulate step 2. In sentence 3, you'll write a sentence that brings this information together and states the author's reason for writing that you noted in step 3. So this has like 3 sentences. Again, I think you may need to have like 4 or 5 sentences for the summary and your whole paragraph being like about 6 sentences. Okay? So again, I recommend breaking this part down. Like the summary, like using this to help you break down the summary. Yes, NROC has the scaffold boxes that you can use to like break things down, but it doesn't break down the summary itself. It'll ask for like the opening sentence and then the supporting details of the summary and then the closing sentence. So this slide can help you like break down the summary itself. And then that's it for the PowerPoint, but I do want to show you some summary writing resources you can use from the foundation resources in Unit 2. So if you're still having some trouble with the whole summary writing process for the Unit 2 essay, you can use the resources here for stated main ideas, supporting details, writing a summary, and writing a summary response. So there's a lot of summary writing resources that you can use for Unit 2. Now, this lesson is pretty short, but if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, as always, please don't hesitate to reach out, and good luck.